This video is an introduction into graphic notes. So the focus of this video is going to be on the annotated diagrams. In the front of your ISN, you have this checklist, and on one side, it's going to say graphic notes. So there's 4 parts to graphic notes: key points, annotated diagrams, cross-cutting concepts, and summary. And once again, I'm going to focus on the annotated diagram. It's good to look over the checklist to see what the expectations are. So you're going to write a title for your diagram. You're going to create an original diagram about some part of the reading. It can also be some part of the reading that inspired something that's not expressly said in the reading. And you're going to label, color, and explain your diagram using the ABCDs, E's of diagrams. So accurate, big, colorful, detailed, explained diagram. Your diagram is going to be the only thing on that page in the notebook because the rest of the graphic notes is a Google document. So we expect you to take up the bulk of that page in your ISN. After you finish doing the diagram, you are going to write 1 to 2 sentences, thinking about like writing a caption for that diagram to help your reader understand how is this diagram supporting what you learned in the text. So I'm going to model this through the first 6th grade reading that we do, which is on energy and particles in motion. And once again, we are doing just focusing on the annotated diagram at this point. So what I do is I have my reading, and I should have had an annotated reading for this one, but whatever. And I'm going to kind of like... So I can't do anything that's already here. So I can't do a train, I can't do a bowling ball. So one thing I can do is I can kind of scan over, and I'm like, oh, put a room temperature metal spoon in a hot liquid like soup or hot chocolate. So that's one idea I could do. So I'm going to put a little, I don't know if you can see the little yellow thing there. So this is an idea for an image. I could maybe do something else that's showing kinetic energy, but I can't use a train or a bowling ball. This was paragraph 3. It dealt with this photo. This was paragraph 4. It dealt with this photo, so I can't use either of those. Paragraph 5. So this is paragraph 5 here. So let's see if there's anything here that might be we could use. Another example is cans of room temperature soda placed in a cooler. So that's another idea that's not drawn directly in here, but I could use that. So what you're going to do, and there's a lot of focus here on energy and particles in motion, so molecules and atoms moving, bumping into each other, changing energy. So I'm looking for ideas that I might draw. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of have my checklist out. And I'm going to do my drawing. So it says first thing I need to do is I have a title. So I'm going to have some title here. Maybe I decide to do marshmallows and hot chocolate. And once again, the focus of this reading was on showing how energy and particles in motion change depending on the amount of heat. It's talking about conduction. So if I decide to do, and I'm taking up most of the space of this paper, so I want to think about like, what could I do? How could I show energy and particles in motion? So you might want to pause the video, think about that for a second. What modeling tools might you use? So I could use things like zoom ins. I could use particles in motion as one of our modeling tools. Once again, our modeling tools are located on page 9. Maybe I have arrows or a call out. So I'm going to for me, I'm going to do a cup of hot chocolate. And I'm going to do maybe some zoom ins and maybe even a color and some particles in motion. So I'm going to have my big cup of hot chocolate. Okay, and I'm gonna have my hot chocolate here. And then I'm going to zoom into something. And maybe I'm gonna have some marshmallows on the top. And I'm putting the marshmallows in, and they're originally at room temperature. So it's gonna be a different temperature than my hot chocolate. When you're making a zoom in, you wanna be using some circular object to do that. Okay, and if I'm doing particles in motion, I have to have a key. So we know that this is fast moving, this is medium moving, and this is slow moving. So then I would show how are the particles that are at room temperature from the marshmallow that were put in compared to that. So then I would put in what I think is appropriate. I'm gonna add some color here. I could do it based on the color of hot chocolate, or I could also think about using a key being, that red is hot and blue is cold. So I could add in some color into my key. And then down below, I'm going to write an explanation of how is this helping my reader understand energy and particles in motion through this diagram. The diagram caption, I would write it first, and then after you're done, box it in yellow. If you write the box and then you try to fill it in, sometimes the box is too small or too big. So I would write first, box it in yellow. Then you're gonna take a photo of this. You can use my iPad in class, and you will upload it onto the Google Doc. So once again, just go through the checklist. Yes, I wrote a title. And then you kind of check it off. Wrote title. I wouldn't check it off in this one because it's your visual one that you use over and over again. Created an original diagram. Yes, this was not in the diagram. This was not in the reading. It was inspired by the reading, or it was directly in the reading, but not drawn. Correct. I labeled it. So once again, you might be adding in hot chocolate, adding in color. Once again, I'm just modeling this quickly. It's going to be colorful because I'm going to add those colors in. I'm giving detail because I've got these details here, and I'm going to explain it. And then when I'm done, I'm going to box it in yellow. Okay, hope that's helpful.